floor is yours.
Okay. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you are.
Okay. Please, if you have POI, please just text in the chat, okay? Let me prepare my note first. Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay. In the status quo, student of average university still could win a prize and in competition. We such, for example, in NUDC 2018, Venus a student from Venus University become the winner from the NUDC, and even Venus is not one of like the first or the second and third university best university in this country. They still could become the first winner on the university. You have the potential to become a prestation, have the prestation and other example. And also, if you are come to the company and get a job, for example, really, really consider, but your skill and how you can explore yourself is the more important. All right, on this case, ladies and gentlemen, why Sherry should choose university? So they could success as student. Okay, I will talk in about the enjoying their learning, and also about the appreciation, and the third is about the prestation. Okay, about the enjoying the students, they learn, ladies and gentlemen. Comparative, if from the opposite time, if we are, if we should choose in the university A, even if she is good and maybe the best university on their country, on her country, but the competitive inside of the university is very high, ladies and gentlemen. Why it could impact to the Sherry learning process, ladies and gentlemen, because it will really force themselves to same with others, because the class and the learning class is very competitive, ladies and gentlemen. This is really dangerous to force on their psychology. That is really dangerous. Of course, it's in the end of the day, it's could make the depression and stress and so on and so forth dangerous. Comparative to our side of the house, if they choose the university B, that the competitive is not really high, and they could enjoy the learning because if they, because there is no force from and competitive from the society, from their from her friends and so on, but they still could improve her skill, so on and so far, and she still could win in any press competition. So for example, I told you like the Venus could the first winner in the NUDC 2018. Also, Sherry could win any other competition as long as she improve their skill and learn about the field that they want to champion. And also the second about the appreciation, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot deny that we all learn. We very need the appreciation from maybe from the teacher, from to choose university A, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, a lot of our friends, a lot of Sherry's friends, that more competitive, that more high knowledge from Sherry's. Of course, how the lecturer and friends could appreciate about Sherry's knowledge. because other friend is more high knowledge, because of course the sound and the sheriff is not really listened by other friends, ladies and gentlemen. Because why appreciation is really important? Because if you are appreciated, of course you will more like you all feel there is on one of part of them, right? Of course, if you are, it's really encouraged to you to learn more if you are appreciated. Compared to our side, if we are more choose university B, that the competition is not really high. Of course, if you have not so much knowledge, and you, because the Sherry is the student high student, of course they were more easy to appreciate and appreciated by the lecturer or friends, because she smart and had knowledge from on her to learn the to really could make she make her success as a student. And about the third layer is about the prestation, right? The prestation, but what Sherry will accomplish when they as a student, comparative to the university A, if sheriffs enter to the university A, because student that and exist on this university, of course, sheriff, if they want to delegation for a university, is really hard, because the competitive is very high. Of course, if and also of course Cherry will hard to have a prestation, because the maybe the inside or the outside competition. Of course, Cherry is so hard to join this competition, to become a prestation student. And also become they easy to understand and get the high score maybe, and so on. And also if become the delegation of the university, they, because of the she is very close with the professor, and maybe she could choose to be delegation of their thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now we're going to continue to the next speaker, the leader of opposition. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to apologize because I cannot turn on my camera due to internet connections. I will just can automatically disconnect if I turn it on. Preferred pronoun, you can call me whatever you want, as long as it is not offensive. And thirdly, POI preference, you can just open your mic and disturb me. Okay, let me get my timer and my note. to be better, and the pragmatic value of going to University A is something that is really worth it for Sherry to actually go through. That's why we think that as Sherry, we're going to choose University A. But let's picturize what University A is, like visualize it, right? We think that's how University A will going to be one better at everything. That means better facilities. That means university will going to have better connection with other university or certain, for example, job field and everything else. They have better system, better lecturer, and of course, higher competitiveness means that there's going to be higher tasks, for example, higher homework, and all this kind of stuff. We think that these are the things that are going in comparison to university B, there's going to be easier competition. It would not most likely going to care about you, or even not going to be there most of the times, right? There are also not going to be any facilities to actually give you better pushing at the end of the day, for example, in many university B. Okay, disclaimer, we're not going to talk about whether or not this is something that Sherry going to be able to financially support. We don't think that it is quite part of the motion, so the financial argument should not be counted. Two rebuttals on our point. Stand out if you come to normal university. No, you're less likely to actually stand out. If this is true, Sherry itself will get an achievement that not only on local level, right? This is most likely because you will not going to be ready to the environment, for example, like competition that you are trying to scrutinize to begin with, right? You will not going to be ready to how competitive and how stressful competition, for example, like aDC and all those kind of stuff. So you will be less likely to actually achieve something like as a Sherry. But even if you are able to do two things that you are going to have, one, you already have the talent. So which means that this is not going to be a relevant point to begin with, right? Whether you will go to that university or aDC university is not really that big of a point to actually be there. But secondly, you will going to have to go through unnecessary work to find better coach, for example, multiple competitions that is really, really far away. You have to pay multiple, you have to pay way more and having way more things that you want to achieve. So which we think that this is really unnecessary, can only be done if you want to go to University A to begin with. What most likely going to happen is you're only going to, even if you win on local level, that is not really going to make you stand out as a person and only going to be stand out to the people in your circle. Secondly, enjoying learning and mentality and psychology. No, we think that being pushed in university or even being pushed in general is something that is okay. This is nature, right? You're also going to have this in any university. Any thesis, right, is very stressful at the end of the day, right? So we think that being pushed at the end of the day is something normal. I'm going to explain to you more why being pushed is okay. But secondly, what we think that push mentally does not mean you're going to be depressed, right? Because depressed are pretty much dependent on your point of view of problem. For example, people are more insecure, whether or not any problem that are going to give small or big is pretty much rely upon their point of view at the end of the day. We think that this is not something that pretty much relevant to be brought up into this debate at the end of the day. But we think that it is going to be necessary and want to explain your argument. Secondly, on the point of enjoyment, we think that they're trying to portray that friends are going to be there. We don't think so, right? Because friends are not something that you're going to get from academical achievement, right? Pretty much the things that I'm going to get, even if I get IPK of 4.0, that's not going to necessarily mean that I'm going to have friends in the begin with. This is pretty much depends on your charisma. This is the reason why many people that even though they don't really have that good academic achievement, they will still have friends and have circles around them that are actually pretty much giving this emotional support. We think that this is pretty much likely also going to happen to Sherry if there is someone that is also having, for example, connection with them, and having friends is not really specific. Even if it's something that is case, what most likely going to happen on your side is that friends that only comes to you because they want to be teach by you, right? They're not really good friends for you at the end of the day. They're friends that want to be there because they want to be pragmatically want to try to get something for you. These are the friends are not really only friends. They're putting a facade, so at the end of the day, you're going to get something from them. This is what most likely going to get you more and more stressful at the end of the day, right? So what most likely going to happen on our side, it's better at the end of the day, because on our side, even if you have few friends, those friends were going to be worth it at the end of the day. Argument. First, and I think it's the only argument that we have of why we this thing is the only thing that we're going to have Sherry. Within it, there's two things what Sherry wants. A, as a person, if you want to join a university, what that means is that you want to go there to get a higher chance of better job, right? If you achieve, for example, if you think that graduating from high school will not going to guarantee you a better job, what it means is that if you want to go to university, you are going to get a better job. This could only be achieved in University A. One, by having a better, higher standard, means that your university will going to have a better reputations at the end of the day. Pragmatically, a certificate from university, top university will not going to be in parallel comparison to the university of university B at the end of the day. That means you are going to have a better job, have a better, higher chance to actually better and having high paying job at the end of the day. But not only that, you're also going to have a better connection, because having a better facility means that university will going to have better facility to connect, for example, people abroad. This is the reason why many top university has, for example, partnership with other university, for example, or even certain industry that we're going to have them having a better connection and easier for them to actually get a better job at the end of the day. So And that pragmatic reasons and why most people join university, we think that we're going to have better chance there. But secondly, as Sherry, you want to go to university because like just like any other naive persons, you want to have a good new experience. Like you actually prepare for you to be a better person and better human being, right? Or this is what growing up needs. Why is this not? It's going to be really good for mentality. We think that the only place that you could be better at handling stressful is the place where you're actually being pushed, right? The only time where you're actually going to be better is because you're actually being challenged to actually achieve something. Staying on your comfort zone, we're never going to change you as a person, right? How is that? We're going to have better time management, for example. You're going to have a more systematic, for example, things to which one to achieve, for example, like better priorities and all this kind of stuff. We're going to push you to actually be able to compete in university. Even if you're not really going to be stand out and just normal university student, you're still going to be comparatively reason better in the argument. Why is it important? One, surviving job has to job at the end of the day. We're going to have constant pressure from your boss, for example. You're not going to be able to survive any type of job at the end of the day. For example, even if more important, if you want to get a promotion, because promotion will have to push you to be better with your peers at the end of the day. University is the only university that could guarantee this. Even as university student and student in general, are, for example, and lastly, surviving in society. Because our perception university students are pretty much curbed, right? Because we think that society really works our way, but it's not really true. Because many things are we really taken for granted. For example, shelter, food, bill, and all this kind of stuff. And once you go to outside the university and you have to pay your own bill, those things crumble, right? The fact that it's living in society means you're most likely going to be get depressed and self-pressure and self-blaming for not being able to actually achieve this kind of stuff. These pressures and the ability to actually adapt is the only thing that we're going to be able on pressure for you to actually do this kind of stuff. You're going to be survivable at the end of the day. So what it means in comparison, you're going to be able to adapt to certain conditions, right? On their side, they're never going to be achievable in certain job. At the end of the day, you'll always have to go from one job to another job, for example, at the end of the day, which is not really pretty much stable on their side, right? What it means that you are only going to get that certain happiness in university, but outside university, you're never going to survive at the end of the day. We don't want this as Shari. We don't want this as a person. Incredibly proud to open it up in opposition bench.
Thank you, the leader of opposition. Now we're with the next speaker, which is the Deputy Prime Minister. The floor is.
Okay. I will start my debate at. Wait a minute. I will start my debate at 3, 2, 1. Like my first speaker have said to you that this could be that the competitive in the competitive in university school will be more highly competitive than the average college. But this could be decreased per skill. Why? As we know that a lot of our students in college cannot compete with the other because of insecurity, ladies and gentlemen. Because of in this era, we facing a big threat from the young age people, ladies and gentlemen. What is that? The insecurity, and also the if this can be more getting more insecurity, a lot of insecurity, we can more getting the more anxious around people. And a lot of students in Indonesia, let's say, make some students do not able to compete each other, and they just not doing the thing that she likes. If Sherry moving to the university A and didn't and cannot compete with this kind of thing, Sherry will not get the thing that she likes, and also getting more insecurity, and what they and she cannot be able to achieve the thing that she likes, and also she cannot improve her skill. And I want to give you some rebuttals from the first opposition side of the house, that they say in the high university in the university A that high that coach the student, but even there is in its kind of organization, maybe like they can giving the coach easily, they it is cannot guarantee that if she joined the organization and then that having coach inside and she get more and she get coach inside, but this cannot guarantee that that she can compete with other that might be have more highly skilled, more getting knowledgeable than she, and she more just getting more insecurity and didn't achieve something. And also uh, and the pressure, like the job, like the first speaker of opposition said that the job, the pressure of the from the job, she will get experience it from organization and also joining the organization. But the pressure from the job, she will experience it from organization and also the organization outside the campus, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because the organization is not just for the campus itself, it's not just inside the campus but also in outside the campus, that can giving more relation in outside her college. And 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 the organization outside the college is different with the organization like in the university A that have a quality, that have more quality. The organization outside the college uh, might be more more getting more easy the challenge, and also the Sherry will get more doesn't get insecurity more like when Sherry get in university A. So Sherry will not get highly insecure like in her university A maybe. And also uh, I will get my argument that she will get easy to get job outside if Sherry get if Sherry getting more in touch with her professor, their friends, and also by this relationship, that like the professor, if the professor like having the relationship with the with the company the A or company B, Sherry will get more easier to get in that company because of because of the professor has a relation with that company. Because in this era we see that a lot of people getting to company not just by the not just by the recruitment that the company open it, but also the really in this era that the relation that getting more job, getting inside getting the job by the relation is high, is get by getting job from the relation is also highly percentage in Indonesia, and that and the peluang is really bigger than we do it by ourselves. Uh, and also the more she get to knows with her lecture and also professor, it helping her to get easy on doing some project like giving help to her 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 professor to doing some lecture, to doing some paper or so on, or like research, and it will get more easy, and she will more active in university B because of the easier, and it could be best experience for her, like she will get more high jabatan in their organization in university B, because in this era we cannot guarantee that people will get easier to get job just because they graduate from better university, as we know that like several time ago that uh, I mean like the people that get uh, graduate from the university A like highly competitive and more qualitative than the university B is it get easier to getting the job is not true, because what if what if Sherry just uh, to going to university A, but did but she cannot compete with each other, and also she she just not active in their university. This will not get the CV more get experience, and also this will get hard to accepted in the company. So that's why we propose to choose Sherry in the University B. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, the leader of opposition. Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. Now we are going to move on to the Deputy Leader of the opposition. Here.
Okay. My name is Faiz. Pronoun is he or him, and yeah, I'll set up my timer first. For POI, you can just type in the chat. Please do not unmute yourself because it will disturb me. Hold on. Okay. I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Within that as Sherry, if you were to enter a university that is high in average, you are most inclined to be able to, number one, compete in such a global and high competitive current status quo, right? Because there's always going to be an emerging market full of highly competitive employees and highly competitive people. But secondly, you will always want to strive for self-development, right? Because the moment when you enter universities, it is not whether or not you will get good grades. Sure, getting good grades is good, and it might look good in your CV. But what employers want, or what people are looking for, are practical things that you can implement in your job. And if you want to get there, you should be able, us as Sherry, should be able to choose University A because it offers all of the high competitiveness and all of the high facilities that we need in order for us to develop more. So our goal as Sherry is simple. Number one, we want better self-development. But second of all, we want to learn new skills and be pushed towards the edge and be able to handle pressure. Competitive world would be, right? So we can already get a portrayal or a depiction of how the competitive world will look like. So we think we will be more prepared to enter the job later on. Before I go into my arguments, a few rebuttals towards the opening government. Firstly, let's talk about how then they always really the leverage of their argument is just insecurity and depression. Chair, please take note of this because that is the only extent of their argument. They only talk about insecurity and depression. We think that this is very, very problematic. Why? Because number one, if you're going to talk about insecurity and depression, it is contingent towards each individual because each individual handles pressure, handles insecurity, handles depression differently. I might be depressed when I get a shitload of work in my in my desk, but maybe another person might feel challenged towards it. So we think that it is how you shape your mindset in order for you to handle that depression, right? And mostly, and moreover, we think that if you want to compete in the highest level and improve, you must be willing to face your insecurities. You must be willing to face your depression because then if you will just battle around your insecurities, you will not be able to develop. But moreover, if you are going to be a college student, we think that being a college student is already a burden for you to be able to bear. So you can't just complain and say that, oh, I'm depressed, I don't want to be a college student. We think that is already your duty and a burden you have to bear in the end of the day. But even if still there is depression, still there is insecurity, we think that it is totally fine. Why? Because number one, you can learn to your insecurities, you can learn towards your depression for you to change and become better in the future, right? But moreover, in the current status quo, we have different types of support systems that can help us tackle our insecurities and tackle our depression. We're talking about counseling, educational counseling, in which will help you and assisting you in trying to, maybe get out of your insecurity circle. But secondly, you also have your peers and your friends that can help you, because your college life isn't always about competing, but also about going out with your friends and having fun. That's totally fine. But lastly, you always have your family support, right? Because your family will always be there to support you. So in the end of the day, the argument that only plays on insecurity and depression does not really fly in their side of the house. But secondly, let's talk about how they talk about they will get more friends in University B, but never they really mention on what is the significance of having more friends in University B, right? Because they tell you that, oh, if you enter University B, you will have more friends. Whether in University A, it is much more individual centric. You will not have friends. Number one, they have never proven to us and explained to us why then having a lot of friends will be much a significance towards us. Because they tell you that if you have a lot of friends in University B, these friends are only going to approach you because they need something from you. Maybe number one, they want you to do their assignments, or maybe they only approach you because they need help from you, which means that they put on this kind of like fake friend rhetoric or fake friend a fake friend notion towards you, which means that the friendship in the end of the day is not true to yourself. But lastly, with that, it is totally fine for us if we don't have friends. Why? Because number one, keeping close friends and keeping small friends is much more important for you rather than having this huge number of friends that will only act as fake friends and doesn't really help you or support you. But secondly, college is always good. College, especially this high average college, will always be pressured enough that doesn't really give you a chance or a space for you to really make friends. And maybe you can make friends, just a few, but in the end of the day, you're always going to be there for you to selfly centered towards you to study and to improve yourself. One of their arguments fly in this debate. I will bring one argument in this debate, right? I'm going to talk about I'm going to bring a comparison and do a comparative between University A and which university will be in the end of the day better for Shari. Let's jump into it, right? Firstly, let's talk about the comparison between University A and B. Let's look at University A, right? Why the University A is much better? With the University A, seeing through the context line, it's much more competitive environment and it's a top average university. What does that tell you? It tells you that it has an image to maintain. Because say, for example, UI in current status quo, they have an image to maintain to become the best university in Indonesia. Therefore, what does this mean? It means that they will still going to pump out good facilities to facilitate the students to be able to compete in the highest level. But of course, moreover, as Sherry, she will always work hard to develop and be the best. Why? Because of four reasons. Number one, within it is the nature of human ego to compete and not want to lose. I do not like to lose, right? Humans do not like to lose in this world. Who wants to lose, right? Of course, it is already the nature of humans to really compete and be the best. They do not want to lose to other humans. But secondly, if you have a support system that pushes you to the best and really pushes you to your limit, like in this case, the competitive environment of the university, you will always want to perform your best. You do not want to lose to other people. But lastly, but moreover, you will learn new things because you are pushed towards the edge, and you look at other people and they're performing very, very well. But number three, you will always have peer pressure, right? Because there's always a lot of students that really perform in the highest level and which is highly competitive. But lastly, you also have the facility that will able to support you. Say, for example, lecturers or libraries that are packed with good books or even Wi-Fi. So with that, these four reasons, it's the reason why that Sherry would be able to develop herself in University A. Through this, she's able to compete later on for jobs, even if she is not really successful, right? Because success in university and getting good grades doesn't really determine for you whether or not you will get good jobs. Because within that practical things, it's much more important than theory if you are going to get jobs, right? Because your boss later on will not ask you a theory, but he wants to see you practically doing things, which will then help Sherry be qualified in the job. Comparatively with University B, yes, you succeed, but you succeed because of the low standards, right? University B, little to no activeness, which means there is no competitiveness coming from the students, right? You know you are the best, and you will take it for granted because you know you can always excel at your studies. This breaks the arguments of being easy to succeed coming from opening government. So with that, you will always have to choose University A at the end of the day if you want to really excel. Very, very proud.
Thank you, Deputy Leader of the Opposition. Now we're going to move on to the closing half of the debate by calling upon the first speaker from the closing half, the member for the government. Here. Yes, you are.
My speech from students success student or even the success in the future, ladies and gentlemen, and also the learning or choosing the university with the average university does not always mean that the student will not succeed or as the student or even in the future, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, firstly, Well, here we ask the government propose this motion, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the opposition side of the house talk about the nature what say that the B university has no competitive from the students, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, no, it's not like that, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because as as the first that we know, the university B has competitive, but this doesn't mean that and gentlemen. So what you say is totally wrong. Like this. What the opposition say just now is totally wrong because there is still the competitive from the students that from the university B, ladies and gentlemen. And then also, the opposition also mentioned about the image to maintain of the university and also the university facilitate the students. Ladies and gentlemen, in the university B also will facilitate the students, ladies and gentlemen, and then the facilitation that provided by the university also will be successfully used when the students, or we can say here the Sherry, has skill and also argument. Ladies and gentlemen, this here because Sherry, uh, as what she wanna reach, that is she success student, ladies and gentlemen. So here we propose this to Sherry to choose the university B, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we here want to bring about the choosing the university B is will be contribute the benefit and good impact for Sherry to become a success student, and also we talk about her future, ladies and gentlemen. As we know that Sherry has much more chances to be outstanding student that being recognized by her peers and professors, ladies and gentlemen. And here we believe that there is the what we call it the benefit or good impact by recognized by the peers and professor. But by recognized by the peers, Sherry will has more relation. And then what is the benefit or the good impact by has more relation? Actually, of course, Sherry will helpful to her in experiencing her study period. She will be easier to study together her peers, and then uh, also will benefit to her when we have more relation. I mean here more relation. For example, know many students who are joining the many what we call it organization, for example. So Sherry here can also can do the sharing also. When Sherry need help, she will get many help from her relation and something like that. And also yeah, and also by being recognized by the peers and professors, it will be support her in increase her achievement. Why? Because in the university can support her in increase her achievement, and then when she wanna joining a competition, the university will support her and something like that. And ladies and gentlemen, the opening government bring the analysis about the learning and then achievement and then appreciation. But here we as a holding government will bring the analysis about the uh, when the about the social status, economy, and education, and then the future of the Sherry itself, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we also here bring the compare. Let's compare when Sherry choose the university and university B, ladies and gentlemen. When she choose the university A, it is no guarantee that as she will succeed as a student, ladies and gentlemen. But really to be ladies and gentlemen. But in the university A, there's no guarantee because of the high competitive and because of the highly competitive environment in that university. But when the when the Sherry choose the university B, she has more chances to be an outstanding or the uh, outstanding student that being recognized. Okay, next is uh, don't worry about the competitive, ladies and gentlemen. The university B has not so competitive here, but uh, sorry. So Sherry can here be the student who can increasing the competitive environment in the university, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because as we know that Sherry is a skilled and highly determined high school student. So in the university, she can be the student who are have competitive, and then the other student will be what we call it. It will uh, trigger trigger the other to be the competitive, ladies and gentlemen. And then okay, and then here we also she has chance to compete internationally. Why? Because every university has the opportunity. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, maybe that's all for me. Back to propose this motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, member for the government. Now we need to move on to the next speaker, which is the member for the opposition.
Okay, let me arrange my paper first. Okay, so if you want to give your eye, just give it through chat. So I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So what we see from the other 3 teams is that they only talk about how Sherry actually wants competitiveness, or that other side of the house wants to prove that Sherry does not want this atmosphere of being very much competitive because she'll end up being real insecure, for example. But we don't see the characteristic coming from all 3 teams that talks about what is actually the very basic interest of Sherry and what is the characteristics of Sherry. Therefore, she will be much more likely to enter or choose university A or university B as her as the higher education that she wants to pursue, right? Let's take a look on the whole government bench ideas. The whole government bench only tells you about how Sherry actually wants enjoyment because Sherry does not like the competitions, and also they tell you about how Sherry wants to achieve a lot of achievements. Therefore, she needs to be good as during her high school year, right? Which means that the highly competition is actually within the interest of Sherry. But secondly, they also do not tell you why the probability of Sherry to feel insecure for her peers can actually be so much higher to the interest that she wants to be in a competitive atmospheres, right? So that's what's lacking from the whole government bench. But let's take a look also on opposition, opening oppositions, right? Because they only tell you 2 characteristics of Sherry, which is very narrow. We think that for this debate, right? They only tell you that Sherry wants to get better job, and Sherry will also wants to have good experience, good skills, and so on and so forth. We don't think that this is actually enough characteristics, and therefore we're going to give you more characteristics on why Sherry, therefore at the end of the day, will choose university A, right? So I'm going to talk about 2 things. Firstly, why it is within the interest and also characteristics of Sherry, and secondly, I'm going to talk about the comparative between university A and also university B. So proceed to first point, which is Sherry's interest and also characteristics. Understanding that Sherry's characteristics is that first, she's highly skilled students in her senior high school before, and also she's already have the competitive mentality, which means that she already have the capacity to survive in a very competitive competitions, let's say, or for examples, and she also already have this so huge ambitions. Sherry also loves challenge. She loves competitions, right? She loves deadlines, for example. So she's not afraid of what the future holds for her. She's not afraid afraid of the uncertainty about the competitions itself. So the interest of Sherry is that first, she wants to be in a competitive atmosphere, as competitive as possible. Secondly, Sherry also wants to exercise her skills in a better circumstances. Thirdly, Sherry also have the interest to have a brighter future, and also Sherry loves to study overnight to get good grade, right? To begin with, because she's already that high skill since senior high school. So in the context slide, you also can see that Sherry is actually accepted in both university A and B. So most likely, B is only the second option or alternatives, knowing that B is an average university, right? Well, University A is the primary or the first option because it is a higher quality of university. So she got accepted in both of these universities. Knowing that she has paid so much energy for paying for the private course, for example, paying for my books in order to be accepted in the university. That shows Sherry will be more likely to choose University A because the level of satisfaction and happiness simply because able to pass the very difficult task that this University A is actually providing. And also because simply it is her first choice to begin with, right? So not only that, but Sherry also carries so much pressures. Firstly, the hope of their parents in order for Sherry to actually enter the good university. And second of all, the pressure can also come from her teacher or her school because Sherry should enter the good university knowing that she is already smart during the senior high school, therefore she deserves a high quality of university, right? Within this, we think that then Sherry will have much more likely ended up choosing the University A as a high quality university, right? But let's talk on B, the comparative between University A and University B. Let's see on how University A is going to provide for Sherry, right? University A, it's true that University A do not give guarantee at all for Sherry to success, but this is the picturizations of real world that Sherry is going to face in the future. This also has been told by opening opposition, right? The real tough world is not something that is scary for Sherry. This is not highlighted by the opening opposition. This is what makes us different from them, right? The real tough world is not going to be very scary for Sherry because she's already being competitive in the very first place in senior high school. So she loves this kind of competitions. And also the recognition of this University A, knowing that this university is actually well known in that country, for example, support Sherry to actually purchase more jobs and are going to have a better higher education later if she wants to pursue master, for example. Comparatively to University B, right? They have an average students. Therefore, even if in the best case scenario that Sherry is going to win, is going to dominate, is going to be appreciated, is going to be chosen as a delegation of the university to certain competition, let's say, but Sherry will not feel first. Sherry will not have this capacity to feel the satisfactions simply because it is a very easy competition for her, right? It's very easy for her to beat all of her peers. Secondly, even if chosen as delegations, Sherry also will be unable to win the real national or world competition, let's say. Why? Because first, university is unable to give maximum coaching for Sherry due to lack of facility, for example. And also B, University B is also put so much hope on Sherry to learn on herself, knowing that Sherry is already very smart to begin with, right? Therefore, this is the kind of competition, the kind of circumstance that Sherry is actually willing to put herself in, right? Therefore, what Sherry actually wants is to be in a University B, which is very much likely to be very competitive, even though the trade-off that Sherry is going to get is first no recognition from her professors, let's say, or the trade-off which is Sherry will be very much more harder to compete with other peers. But we think that it is still justified for Sherry because first, Sherry has already understood that it is competitive to begin with, and she already have this kind of mentality to actually compete with others. Secondly, it is still justified for all this trade-off because Sherry, because the hard competitions is not something that is new for Sherry. She has experienced this competitive environment during her senior high school, right? Therefore, by those explanations, we believe that as Sherry, this house then will choose University A in order to for her to pursue higher education. For that, we are very proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, member for the opposition. Now we're going to move on to the last speaker from the government side, the government whip. Here.
Check, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Wait a moment. Apa sih, aku mau kecilin volumenya gitu. Okay. Um, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before jumping to my argument, I'd like to have some rebuttals from the opposition side. Okay, they just say that if you choose the university B, you will have something like an insecure or something like that. But as a high quality students, you will not have that kind of insecurities. Because why? Because an outstanding student, a high quality of students is always has good esteem. At school, Seri has learned how to build the good personality, the capability. Because why? Because he is so brilliant. So the brilliant students means that Shirley has a really, really good personality, good achievement, good skills, and so on and so forth. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, jumping to my argument, my first speakers before have make some comparison between a university A and a university B. University A is a high competitive unbiased, but there is no guarantee as a student. In B university, Sari will have more chances to be an outstanding student. Because why? Because she will be recognized by her peers and the professors. My first speakers also was bring you the some cases in social status, economy, education, future, and family. Okay, let's take an example in this kind of motion. In university A and B, you can compare with the rich people and the poor people. In university A, you can make some example in the rich people. Okay, the rich people, when now you live in the rich family, there is no guarantee that you will still live in the rich family. While you are not studying hard or learn more or have a good education or something like that, while the people that live in the poor family or the average family, you will still can make change or can make some what we call it, some change for your future on your life, as long as you have the skill, the good capability, the achievement, and something like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, nowadays mostly the students and the people more aware in the future. Their good job, okay, their good job, they will always think what will happen if I cannot find the good job. There is many brilliant students that guarantee from the average university. So even though in average university, that doesn't mean you don't have the brilliant students. Okay, good university cannot ensure that the people can reach their dreams. Because wait, the really important thing in nowadays is your capability, your skill to create and to get a good job, a good job. Okay, let's talk about in economic side. Okay, in economic side, after Sherry guarantee from B University, she will has the after Sherry graduate from B University, she will have the guarantee to be the success person. Because why? Because she is the brilliant person. She can get better job as long as she has the good skill. And whenever she join whenever campus, it's not important. You can as long as she can look at the opportunity and so on and so forth. And also in the family side, what family want to their children is the family want their children to have and to get the great job and have a big opportunity to get the good job and the good future and their life. Okay, and also I also want to make sure that university is good because of the students. So if the students always improve their skills inside and outside, so the university also will have the high competitive. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Unit A and B. Okay, well, University A is a highly competitive and biased, but there is no guarantee to be a successful person or better person in the future. To getting a job is so difficult. So if Sari choose a university, there's still a big competitive to find out the job. It will possible if she have jobless or unemployed person. Okay, in University B, Sari will have more change because Shirley will recognized by the first person, means many people will know Shirley. So Shirley can collaboration with more people or even the professor. By knowing by the people, it means that the Shirley will easier to getting a job, have any relationship with an important person, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what will happen with Shirley in the future if Shirley take a university base? With the high skill that Shirley has, she can go national or even international. Because why? Because she is more students and she can looking for any opportunity. Okay, even though she from university B, she still can join competition with the good university in the world or in Indonesia. She can join debate competition, research competition, and etc. Because of her skill, she will know by the word. Because what is important in being the student is their achievement, their prestation, their prestation and skills. With this, with Shirley achievement, at the end of the day, Shirley will be known by the world, and you will be the global students. I mean, Shirley will be the global students, national or even international, and it will make Indonesia proud of Shirley because of her achievement. What is really important nowadays is because what is the really important nowadays is the skills and the relations with many people. In university, Shirley have more change of that. Many people know Shirley as a good and outstanding student. So even though the people know she comes from B university, an average university, but they will still look that Shirley is a really, really good student because of achievement and her achievement and her personality. Okay. Yeah, so that's why we really support this motion because of our stand of this. First is social status, economy, education, future, and family. So back to support this motion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, closing government. Now we are going to continue to the last speaker on this debate, the opposition whip.
Hello everyone, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, wait, let me organize my paper. Wait. Okay. I'm gonna start the speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, the whole threat of the threat of coming from the whole government team is just first they think that Sherry will not be in competitive circumstances. Second, they say that Sherry will be unable to improve her skill better because he's just among average student in University B. But we think that there are no clear explanation on why this threat of is better or justified for Sherry itself to choose University B. Understand that since high school, Sherry is already a clever, a brilliant person. Therefore, Sherry itself wants a better future. Means that Sherry wants to be the best of the best. Sherry don't want to be the best among the worst, as for example. Therefore, we think that it's justified for Sherry to choose the University A. In comparison to our side of the house, even if Sherry at the end of the day are going to choose a university, we think that it's okay because it's within the interest of Sherry, and we think that this is the only way for Sherry itself to improve herself, because in a university, Sherry is able to expose to diverse skill, diverse knowledge that can improve herself better at the end of the day. Now, there are two important classes that I'm going to talk in this debate, but first, understand that both universities in this debate provides no guarantee of future successfulness. But the problem in this debate is that which university can provide or can create better preparation in future and having better surviving mechanism at the end of the day for Sherry itself, we think can only be provided or can only be found in a university. Two important class in this debate is that first, whether or not choosing a university is within the interest of Shirley. Second of all, whether or not betterment will more likely to happen even going to be better under our side of the house. First of all, why it is justified or to choose a university is already within the interest of Sherry. Understand that during high school, Sherry is already a high skilled or high determined person. Therefore, she has a good basic skill, right? We think that with this capability, Sherry has more chance to develop because the chance of develop are going to be more accessible because in the ambience of the university itself or Sherry can find another development by finding friends that has same capacity. Therefore, Sherry will find a supportive circumstances at the end of the day that can help her to develop more. Second of all, understand that accessibility under our side of the house, or the likelihood to survive in competitive work, will more likely to happen under our side of the house, or if Sherry choose a university. Understand when you are entering a university, we think that it's not just about the enjoyment or the appreciation that you will get in the university, but it's more about on how Sherry itself can absorb as many knowledge as possible, even as many knowledge as possible, whether it through the high standard of curriculum or learning method, or furthermore the connection of student exchange that maybe only privileged university can provide. Even though there are no guarantee for Sherry to be successful at the end of the day, but understand this kind of characteristic have better possibility in University A, because the possibility still can happen, because Sherry at the end of the day because Sherry already consent with this, and also Sherry will force herself to improve more because there are a high set standard of curriculum, the high pressure of learning method, or furthermore the connection of student exchange. This characterization will only will force Sherry to improve herself in order to reach this kind of characterization. Understand that better achievement can happen under our side of the house. In open government, the preparation of achievement will be very low to the fact that the internal selection in the university itself have very low standard. Therefore, it's hard for Sherry to have highest achievement in national selection. In comparison to our side of the house, even if Sherry at the end of the day are not being selected, at least the internal selection is already covered the national selection system. We think that there are a clear difference from the selection of privileged and underprivileged students in choosing their delegation to the debate. Even if when Sherry enters a university, she is unable to join an UDC, at least she can join another debate competition that helps her easier to win this kind of another debate competition, because she already experienced the internal selection that have the same system with national selection. Second of all, better preparation will more likely to happen outside the house to the fact that Sherry's mentality in surviving the competitive world, because there are two important characteristics that affect this. First, the pressure from the university itself, like standard or learning method, and second of all, the pressure from other students. Understand, but when Sherry enters a high competitive university, there will be a clear pressure from other students because the students also have the same or even better skill than Sherry. Therefore, Sherry will force herself to at least be better than this kind of students. Therefore, the chance to develop will more likely to happen, and the preparation for the mentality of Sherry will more likely to happen under the house to the fact that she is in the supportive of competitive circumstances. Second of number 4, on why it is within the interest of Sherry. We think there are also the external factor, the externalities coming from Sherry itself to choose a university, may be coming from the pressure from Sherry's environment itself. So for example, Sherry lives in a big city. Of course, Sherry will force herself to enter UI, where she lives in Jakarta. She will force herself to enter BINUS, for example, because that is a privileged institution in comparison just to choose another underprivileged institution. And also high school mate from Sherry itself will high school mate that Sherry perceived as her competitor will force Sherry will also force Sherry to choose a competitive institution to the fact that she wants to be the best from another competitor that she already have in high school. Second of all, the betterment. There are two important betterment that will happen outside the house. First, the betterment in the workplace, and second of all, the Sherry's internal feeling. The betterment in the workplace, that understand that workplace require high skill or specialization, not just general knowledge. And this characterization can only be provided in a university, like what the characterization of Sherry interests, because she can only achieve this. And another thing that Sherry can achieve is that in some big company, they require the credibility of the university. In open government, they say that there are no guarantee on which company would Sherry choose. At least when Sherry choose a competitive institution, there are the credibility of the university that some big companies require, for example, right? We also think that when Sherry enters a university, it will open more link to enterprise or institution through internship or the well-known company. Understand that a highly competitive institution also have good connection to insert or to send their students into an internship. Therefore, this kind of characteristic can only be accessed by Sherry in order to improve herself if she choose a university. Also understand that recognition still can happen under our side of the house to the fact that Sherry is highly skilled. Therefore, the determination to dominating the student with her determination will improve more and more, because she will find the way to be the most dominated student. If she can't be dominating in general knowledge, at least Sherry will force herself to improve or to learn new skill that can create new specification, and also the mentality to be dominated or the best student will create good relationship at the end of the day, because the lecturer who is assessing them sees this effort and tangible proof like performance in class. Therefore, it will get attention from the professor itself, or in best scenario, becoming the the lecture assistant. Also understand that a betterment from Sherry's internal feeling. There are two important characteristics. First, the satisfaction because Sherry already achieved her dreams or goal, and second, satisfaction in surviving mechanism. Because when Sherry enters a university, it will have easier mechanism to find the company that's in line with her degree, or because there are recommendation or reputation of the university. In comparison, like when you are the graduate of ITB, and when you want to enter the mining company, therefore the ITB graduate will be prioritized in comparison to just underprivileged students. Therefore, for this kind of characteristics, we're very proud to close this debate. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for the debate. Now please wait for around 10 to 15 minutes while I deliberate with myself, and I will get back here when I have finished the deliberation process. Thank you.
Are my mic already able? Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin these motions where our motion for today, this House believes that India should lift the ban of Chinese apps like TikTok, Baidu, UC browsers. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give us about the background of the motions that currently India banned up to 59 Chinese apps such as TikTok, Alibaba Express, PUBG, and WeChat, etc., according to the public statement of India officials. The actions was taken because India officials believed that such apps were a threat towards sovereignty and integrity of India, defense and security, and public order. Ladies and gentlemen, that we would like to characterize that by characterize these motions. India should ban the Chinese apps, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, here lift the ban we mean is India should not or stop ban the Chinese app itself, ladies and gentlemen, because of it is have become what trade organizations allow, ladies and gentlemen, might not to stop the corporations in the middle of the corporation still running, ladies and gentlemen. I think China and India have good cooperation before, and then now by individually Chinese would like to stop and ban the Chinese app itself, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we stand as the government team that lift the ban itself, ladies and gentlemen, or the China should not ban the Chinese app itself again, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give you my point. On the first point that I'll say from these motions, ladies and gentlemen, it's beneficial. For the first, it beneficial each other, and the second, the India is ambiguous and very unclear decisions to take this to ban the Chinese app itself, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't know why. And why it will treat towards sovereignty and integrity of India itself, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first point, beneficial each other. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, as like we can take a look like the example, as like TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, with things here, India give the beneficial for China itself because of why? Because of India use this app and a lot of people use this app, ladies and gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, it's also not make India itself become damaged, ladies and gentlemen, because of why? It's also beneficial for India itself, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, it's like in TikTok itself, they can do become creator and influencer, etc., ladies and gentlemen. So of course, from that, ladies and gentlemen, it will give the positive effect for the society of India itself, ladies and gentlemen. And we don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen, because of you can see a lot of influencer, a lot of people can express their mind, freely to express their mind, freely to have make some creation in the TikTok itself, ladies and gentlemen. Then why we have to ban it, ladies and gentlemen? If we're gonna talk about the political conflict, etc., ladies and gentlemen, that is the government's what can I say? Uh, that's the government side, ladies and gentlemen. I think uh, no connections or no relation with the society itself, ladies and gentlemen. Because of why? The society still enjoy the app itself and get the beneficial of the app itself, ladies and gentlemen. And also India is not get the image of that, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, it will make the economic of society will be fluently, ladies and gentlemen, because we know advertisement if we pay from television itself, of course it to higher budget, ladies and gentlemen, and it's certain people can do it, but from TikTok or etc., ladies and gentlemen, can do the advertisement itself, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, why I suggest and propose like to from TikTok, etc., ladies and gentlemen, because of it the famous is a lot of Indians people use the TikTok itself, ladies and gentlemen. Most of them, a lot of them use that, ladies and gentlemen. So why the advertisements or the of their creations is easily famous, ladies and gentlemen, and easily become influencer, and they can easily reach, ladies and gentlemen, because of the Indians people. A lot of them use TikTok itself, ladies and gentlemen, and then why then can grow up the economy, and moreover that can make them become rich, ladies and gentlemen. And the benefits also, ladies and gentlemen, all of people can access this app, ladies and gentlemen. So it's easy for do some advertisements, uh, to become influencer, etc., ladies and gentlemen. How about when the other app, they will use the other app, ladies and gentlemen. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and is entertain them, ladies and gentlemen, by the TikTok what you can see application itself, and by the TikTok uh, approach to the people itself, ladies and gentlemen, by their variations, ladies and gentlemen. And my second point is, ladies and gentlemen, it's ambiguous and unclear decisions, ladies and gentlemen. Just because India said it trade towards sovereignty and integrity of India, ladies and gentlemen. So please, ladies and gentlemen, as Indian government, don't think about just yes by certain people, ladies and gentlemen, by certain conflict, ladies and gentlemen. So if the society use the app itself, why? What is the damage? Why should the government stop? So of course, when the government stop or ban this, what you can say, this apps. So of course, the government also will uh, stop the economic growth of the society itself, who stand in of the app itself and TikTok itself, ladies and gentlemen. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, the government, it's so very unclear decisions, ladies and gentlemen, and so very ambiguous, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't know about why it's will threat towards sovereignty and integrity of India itself, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if the government will operate about the data, so of course every app has been prepared, ladies and gentlemen, and can be disrupted by another one. Thank you.
Reminder that you only have 7 minutes and 20 seconds to conduct your speech. So anything more than that will not be written down or taken into account for consideration, no matter how good the materials may be. It does not, however, deduct your points in any way if you do have overtime. Now to begin the case of op bench, I call upon leader of op. BTW, OO, please state your speaking positions because you haven't done that yet. I don't know who's speaking first. OO, are you there?
Yes, yes, we're here.
Yang ngomong duluan siapa?
Marwa.
Marwa baru Dewi ya? Oke.
Yeah.
Don't forget to time yourself and give your POI preference. Thanks.
Time. Okay. Saya. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a POI, just via chat, and then I would start my speech from 3, 2, 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, due to the fact that it is really important to a country to protect their sovereignty, integrity, defense, security, and public order, so here it is really important to do or conduct the way or the activity that can protect the sovereignty, integrity, defense, and security and public order of the country. Why? Because it is important, and it is important to a country because why it is important? Why this is very important to a country? Because it's influence a country's still in a good condition. So here as the opening opposition, pushing this motion, ladies and gentlemen. Why? But the first, let me give some the rebuttal from the what the government has brought. That is, he tell us about the beneficial between the India and China from using this application, ladies and gentlemen. But this is our question that they never the government do not tell us clearly about what is the beneficial between each other from the China and then the India itself. And then the first speaker also said that this is the ambiguous decision to ban the application of the of China. But ladies and gentlemen, this decision taken or the ban taken because of the those kind of application bringing a threat toward the sovereignty, integrity, defense, and security and public order of India. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we cannot get from the government side of the house what is the problem of this motion, and then what is the goal of this motion, ladies and gentlemen. So here we see the problem that is the application. Those application will believe in as the threat for the India itself, and then so here we're gonna reach the goal that is to protect those kind of important things of a country for as like sovereignty, integrity, defense, security, and public order of a country, ladies and gentlemen. So here, why it is justified to India to still stay with the ban of Chinese app, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, as like the example of the Chinese app, TikTok, Baidu, UC browser, and so on. Let's see first from the security sector. Let's take example TikTok. When one person or one user want to have the account of TikTok, surely before having account, the user have to what we call it fill in the form that need to fill their email, their data, their address, their location, or even the camera, or the other thing that the other data of the user, ladies and gentlemen. And then, as we know that in the India, that is this is banned because so many, if the user of the application increasing, so the more the data will be taken, the Indians people data will be more taken by using this, ladies and gentlemen. And why the taking of this data is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, we say here, because there is still there is the opportunity of the store of the data. The data will be stored, ladies and gentlemen, to take the benefit of the China, of the here China, and then it is not give the good benefit to the Indians. Also, it's danger to the user because the data is stored, ladies and gentlemen, and then. Um, and then also about the we can also take the example of the Zoom. For example, the using of application Zoom. There's what we call it. There was happened the case that the data of the user is being stored and then the data misused by the owner, we can say by the owner of the application, ladies and gentlemen. So that is the bad impact from the using of that application, ladies and gentlemen. And then we we here believe that the application is the threat treating the integrity of the country, or especially here we talk about India itself. Why? Because as what we see nowadays, that in the TikTok there many the TikTok there happened the phenomena of the user, what we call it, the user the user of the application wanna be viral, or really taking the modern or Western culture in the application, and then they forgot their own or their country itself, so that's why here we believe that is the threat for the integrity itself, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, maybe that's all from me. Thanks for your attention. I beg to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now to extend the case of OG, I call upon Deputy Prime Minister.
Check.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before I'm going to deliver my arguments, I will rebuttal of the first speaker from the opening set of this opposite head set of the host. Okay, the first, to protect the integrity is important, and it's important for each country. Is it? Like, okay, let's see how the first speaker from the opposite team didn't explain how the way the TikToks or the application from the Chinese, from the others can be broke the integrity or from the country itself. It cannot be clearly explained by the from the opposite team. Yes, we know it's to protect the integrity is important, but it's not concerned, or it's not connecting with the application that the banned by the India government itself. Because the first speaker from the government said it's unclearly reason from the government why they should ban the TikTok. And then we believe the reason was just for individual reason and not professionally as the government or as the word the world organizations. We talk about the World Trade Organization that we don't each country didn't or can't make a limitation for each country to make a relationship, to make a cooperation each other, because it will be give big effect to the India, to the Chinese also. Okay, before I'm going to explain this, let's I answer from from the opposite set of the source that they don't clearly listen or understand about the my first speaker said before about the beneficial each other. Okay, let's see when you are using for the TikTok or when you using, let's see from the other applications, some such as a PUBG Mobile, it will make you entertained. It will make you become something like when you are stressed or when you are nothing to do, you can use this for gaming to entertain yourself. And moreover, the export is really develop or really increase in this status quo. Let's see from the world today. So lots of the world competitions about esport like PUBG Mobile, Mobile Legend, and so on. It will make the youngs from the India can do or can show their their professional gamers. And let's see if what can from the other beneficial for India itself. India, when they have influencer, when they have a TikTok artist, or when they have a gamer from PUBG Mobile, it will really give for specific purpose for them, like getting lots of become entertainer of their country, become artists of their country, and it will increase the entertainment of the India itself. It will be increase them to more become content creator and so on. Okay, let's see from the beneficial of Chinese or from the TikTok itself. They will get from the beneficial from the user from the India itself. Okay, why the user have to feel that there is opportunity for taking benefit? Okay, let's see from the opposite side that TikTok can taking your data. Okay, it is commonly all the applications in this time is taking your data. Okay, it's not just TikTok or Indian or Chinese application. All the application is taking your data. Although you just fill your name, your birth, and like Facebook and the other, you are using your data because why it will be, you will be user, you will be registered, so you need they taking for your data. And then they have a regulation, or they have a policy about this, about the end up to end, like it end up to end is the data, your data will be saved, just you and the TikTok itself. It will be secret, it will not be shared. It was the public policy. So if they share or anything, it's not for, it's in another questions. Okay, there are attacking West culture. Okay, let's see the modern era. Taking West culture is not just a bad thing, like taking for English or anything, because it's a West culture also. And then it's eventually it's not a clear reason or clear explanation why taking for the West culture is bad for India itself. Like let's see, and when they are using for West culture, like talking like English, like the other, it will make they want to learn more about English or any other, and so on. And then let's see from the other country that not a ban for the TikTok, like Indonesia. What's wrong with Indonesia? What the integrity or right? What the kedaulatan from Indonesia is broke by the Chinese people? What? It's nothing. It not happen. It's not happen like the Indian government said, because actually that we believe the decision from the Indian government is just for significantly ban for Chinese company, and it's not proportional as the government as a country to do like this. And then the next is talking about there is opportunity for the people in India to use this application will make them specific entertainments like WeChat, and then they can chat for each other, like using WhatsApp they can chat each other, and especially it's a policy by end to end. So before you are using for these applications, you have to register the regulations of the user and the company, and then it's commonly all the application is doing it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we believe that the the Indian government decision is not bring good for India itself. And then talking about the modern condition today, like all the thing going viral on the internet by TikTok, it's commonly it's give a good effect. So we don't see bad effect. We are using this application, then we see for the good effect. It's a lot good effect. That's why we believe this house would believe that we want to live for the ban of the TikTok or the other Chinese application in India. We believe on the motions. Thank you.
Another reminder to please keep your speeches not too long, surpassing 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, to extend the case of op bench, I call upon Deputy Leader of op.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to prepare for my paper first. Okay, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before jump to my argument, I would try to have some details from government team. They said that it is really useful to using China's application because it can make we as a human famous and etc. It can make Indian people famous. But ladies and gentlemen, if you using China's application, something like TikTok or something like that, the application is harmful for your country. Do you want to be famous in fake reality? I mean, in just social media, but in real reality, you just get the harmful because of your data was stolen by the companies or the organization based by China itself. Yeah. And now, jumping to my argument. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, why we really disagree with this motion? Because if as Indian people never use China's application, it's not only protect the integrity of their country, but also protect the integrity, the data, and so forth of the peoples of the human in India. Okay, let's talk about China's developers and company are forced to share their database, to share Indians' database with the government. There is no freedom to use China's application. Even the newspaper are run by the government. Due to this motion, any personal data that can be accessed by the Indian would be accessed also by the Chinas, and the government in China will very easily to store their data, and it also and it also can be used in harmful way by the China's government. Okay, in India, just using for China's application, if India don't more using China's application or just use their application, their country application, it also will increase their economy and decrease China's economy, because India has also the application that will make them better and will help their country to rising in economy. Yeah. And what is the emergency if the damage if we use, if Indian using China's application, because India is an emerging market for China's mobile app application companies. For example, TikTok, UC browser, and etc. Are quiet in India. So if Indian using something like UC browser, so the China's companies will detect their location, and if they wanna know how about their reality, their life, it can will be detected by China's company. Why this is really harmful? Because China's and India have some conflict, and if China knows more about not know more about Indian. So every activities that Indian country Indian country doing is can be detected, and China's can more to attack them because nowadays they have a military what we call it military conflict or something like that. So China's just developed their country for to used by Indian people, so Indian people can use that, and it will harmful to them. Okay. Okay. Indian official have now. Let's look at nowadays. Nowadays, Indian official have now banned more than 100 China's application, and we think it is really important for China, for Indian itself, because it will protect their data and improve their country's economy. Why it should be? Because both Indian and China have an what we call it have something like conflict and something like that. I think this is this one. When we look at the China's application, in reality, in the social media, there are lots of there are lots of keluhan that say that this application is not good for us, cannot protect our data or something like that. So that's why we. Okay, so we beg to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for speech. I remind everyone to also please time yourselves and also do a countdown before you start your speech, so I can actually time to your own speeches. Yeah. Moving on to closing benches, I now welcome the member of government to begin their speech.
Okay. Oh my God. Is it clear?
Yep, you're audible.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer John from government member of government. In the status quo, India should lift the ban because from that, citizens of India are exposed to a lot. The first point is China and India have a war in 50 June, so India can't ban all application from China. The most platform in here have an owner in India, and a lot of them and all of the application in China had a lot of works and relationship in India. TikTok said they are still follow the authority of India, but the TikTok have a plan to meet with them and give clarification with India and China. And TikTok has a popular in India and in user application. So when they are banned, the TikTok banned is useless thing. Even if you, why is useless thing? Addictive because a citizen of the native citizen of India addicted with TikTok. We ban TikTok useless. Even we ban TikTok, they are download again with VPN. And even if you live in a country that has a ban TikTok, you can still download the application. There are ways to do what first by changing your App Store location setting on your iOS device or Android device. Two, by the sideload the application files on your Android device. And the last step is by wiping your phone and using the VPN to access TikTok in your area. What kind? Uh, what kind in your argument is not too strong to ban TikTok or other China application? And even if we ban application, we pay, we applicate. I'm sorry. We had many ways to protect this country. This TikTok popular platform popular in India, and India biggest user in a country. And even every country had regulation to had to make a decision about China and TikTok. Um, wait. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. When I say TikTok said they are following the authority of India, now, why we must ban the application. Okay, that's all, and that's why I agree this how India should lift the ban of China's application. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Now to begin the case for closing up, I call upon member of opposition.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The adjudicator, first, I'm going to rebut the point of the opponent government about the afraid of the economic growth in the end of the day, right? Okay, we will not worry about the growth of economic in the end of the day because of the how this application is very dangerous to us. Because of there is still another way to grow our economy, which is in the case of India and in China, there is still obor still exists, right? That how obor itself between Africa and China create the rise of the growing of the economy of Africa itself. We don't worry about the about the economic growth, right? That's how how that example will apply also in India in the end of the day. I'm going to speak about how important our privacy, right? Okay. Before that, please, that I think we have to know deeply about how the TikTok is, right? That how TikTok is the application that is popular media, right? This media is in the years or the century, which is the currently technology is rising rapidly because of the demand of the society itself. The second, because of how the technology will serve us that easy way to get happy. Okay, how TikTok works, that they will ask our email, our username, and also and so forth, which is our privacy, right? That's it. Okay, our privacy include our email, our username, and also our photo, and also on and so forth. Okay. Okay, how this is will harm, how live ban of TikTok will harm in the end of the day. Okay, okay, there is a carding of crime like data mining, right? That we have to know that data carding data, which is include data mining, is very very dangerous for the national and for the society of the national itself, right? Okay, how it will be harming the privacy of the society for the nation itself first. As we know that our data is very important, like when we are trying to register to our account bank, to register to the society, to the country as the legitimate society, and also and so forth, that we use our data, right? Nah, if we are being stolen, our data being stolen, this is very dangerous if our data is being misused, right? They will easy to use our data to sell to other people, other organization, for worse, to others organization that or crime organization. That's very worse. Moreover, if this is happen to the minister of the country, to the president, yes, as we know that TikTok is a popular media, as I mentioned before, right? That it means that people around the country, around the world, include India itself, is using TikTok itself, yeah, whether it's going for others. That's very bad when the data is being stolen, right? How, for the example, how the data of the minister of the defense of the India being stolen by China, which is China and India have conflict in area, in the border, which is that will be harming if the China know the defense of the India itself, right? That's very harm to the sovereignty of India. That will be worse. And if the data of the president, and also why? Because yes, we do agree that everyone and around the world currently having smartphone, right? Which is in that smartphone we have our yes, we have our data. And that data that we use to register to others to application and so on and so forth. And the point of opening government said that even though you ban TikTok, you can still use. Okay, this is will send the narrative. This is will bring even though they will use TikTok also. So this is will bring the narrative how important. So we will raise the importance of TikTok to the society. If you are being stolen, if your data being stolen, you will have no freedom. How freedom is very important to our life, because freedom is our right, right? This is the basic of human right. Is that if the basic of human right itself being taken, it means the life of the society, of the person itself is being stolen. That's why we stand to the status quo. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Now to close the government bench, I call upon Government Whip.
Wait a minute, let me my paper.
Okay, our motion today is this House believe that India should lift the ban of Chinese applications such as TikTok, video. Okay. Before going to my argument, let me give some rebuttals toward the opposition benches. Okay, they mention about the security, how important the security for the country, Indian country. Okay, I think application some country and they have authority that application have to obey, and I think it's that's this kind of authority will obey by the TikTok, so that the threat that opposition benches worried about, it will never happen at the end of the day. Opposition also mentioned that they talk opposition mentioned that kind of threat they talk about is will never happen in India. It's just their assume, right? Like how like India something how progressive enough their society, they want to create content, they want to express themselves. India government Baidu this kind of ban, as my first speaker already taught you, the India government will limit the society on how they want to express their make content and such as and something like that. And they also, I think we opposition don't have to worry about the Western culture. They are progressive enough how they can manage how they want to filtering the Western culture itself. Okay, okay, the opposition keeps saying TikTok will harm the data, but there is no explanation what kind of that data that have been been sold, and the second is in the level of a country. We can to be like we a country to be smarter or more intelligent. We are the country is smarter or more intelligent, and we can do a protect our country. Okay, and also about closing opposition, they mention about privacy issues. Yep. Did they okay. In US, that they, for example, in US they have a plan of a ban a TikTok, but at the end of the day, they don't do such a ban because issues about the privacy. They still approach the privacy is nothing. They still allow the US citizens still using a TikTok. So how you can solve? And my question is, so how can you solve the problem if at the end of the day, India society will download it from a dangerous application such as a VPN, as as my first speaker already taught you. Okay. What India scares in here, they believe that kind of application were a threat toward sovereignty and integrity of India. Okay, most of society in India, which India just like like India just assume that application will attract and dangerous for security and something like that. But yeah, TikTok and PUBG, which identified in India as their biggest overseas market, which is will get a benefit for India itself. We know, and we also know TikTok and PUBG have huge user all around the world and have so much user in India. As my first speaker taught you, this application has many of in India as well as workers also in India, where they depend on a TikTok they rely on TikTok for their income. If India worry about the TikTok that you have to know that the TikTok already clarification that TikTok doesn't share data with a Chinese government. Yeah. And how India is going to be look like at the end of the day if they ban a TikTok, as my speaker already taught you, because have a TikTok has so much of eyes in India and user, this really will get so much benefit for the India government itself. It can have jobless and they can create some content or videos to make them gain money, and at the end of the day we can find another way. We as a smart country, we can we India will we believe India will gonna we believe India will find another way to protect their country, make the authority that will make the security stuff and yeah, and the TikTok will have to obey the role that India create. So there is no the threat that India will worried about at the end of the day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Now to close the whole debate, I call upon opposition whip.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Well, educators, before I'm going to my argument, I would like to rebut some points that has been delivered by both OG and CG. Okay, OG comes up with the argument that TikTok and all of the application that is mentioned in the motions is beneficial for the society of India itself by being the content creator, the chance for being content creator, freedom of expression, advertisement, and so on, so far. But this is something that we're gonna say that this is such a case in case beneficial, but not the systemic not the systemic beneficial for advancing the economy of India itself, because we talk about the policy of India itself, so we have to think wider and broader. So, and then second, they don't explain how lifting the ban of Chinese application will still okay to the security and the sovereignty of India itself. And then they only put the argument for the sake of expressing people freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and so on and so far. But how could people will still dancing in front of their smartphone while their data is being misused, where their privacy is being robbed by this particular application that will harm them, that will harm them eventually in the end of the day. Okay, I would like to emphasize and more elaborate the point that has been delivered by my previous speakers, and we completely oppose the motion and support India, support the status quo today. And why, as my first speaker said, that the data that is used to register, okay, the data that is used to register, such as your name, your address, your phone number, your email, your photo, and so on and so far, it is something that indicatedly being misused by those applications such as TikTok, Baidu, and so on and so forth. That's why India government governed a policy to ban the application itself in order to keep their sovereignty, to guarantee the safe and the secure circumstances, the safe and circumstances toward their society, and then to give a guarantee for the privacy of every citizen in India, and it will be good for the society itself. Okay, and the point that I'm going to emphasize is continuing what have been delivered by my speaker, that India and China still have the cooperation if they don't cooperate in the case of this kind of application, because they already involved in the project what we call OBOR, One Belt One Road, which is meaning building the infrastructure like road and harbor, airport, that will enhance the interconnectivity in the distribution of goods, distribution of people, the transportation, and it will eventually advance the economical side of it will still advance the economical side of both China and India. So there's nothing to so banning the applications will not harm the cooperation between China and India itself, because of they already involved in the agreement to build the infrastructure and so on and so forth that I have mentioned before. Second, my first speaker already pertained about the organized crime, and I will further explain it to you guys. Okay, my first speaker said that if the application is downloaded and accessed by the functionary that hold the strategic positions, let's say minister that has been mentioned by my first speaker, minister or president, or even the son of president, or the soldier, the leader of soldier, the leader of police in India, then if the data is being misused and being tracked, the privacy of the smartphone itself, which is, we know that in smartphone itself could be consist of the secret of a personal privacy and the secret of the nation itself, the secret of their job, and so on and so forth. And those trajectory, those loopholes will be eventually utilized by unresponsible party. Just let's say how organized crime then buy the data from the TikTok itself to know where is the lackness of the security of India itself, and then in the end of the day will utilize it as the way for having the transaction, let's say drugs, smuggling, human trafficking, and this will eventually harm the sovereignty, even the human right of the society, of the Indian society itself. And that's why we proudly oppose the motion for today's debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the speech. And that concludes the debate for this round. Give me approximately 15 minutes to make a decision, and then I'll do the verbal afterwards. In the meantime, the committee can stop the recording now, and you're free to get your drinks, go to.
Halo, Kak. Do I sound clear, Kak?
Can you speak louder?
Do I sound clear? Do I sound clear, Kak?
Okay,
Hello?
it's better.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Madam Chairs, we see the status quo happens today that woman is always being discriminated or even always taken as a second gender, and it is ironically, ironically to be like independent, strong woman, or even to pursue their goal, right? Because in the perspective or even in the paradigm of the people, woman is always taken as a second gender who needs to take after who needs to look after the family, or even to have a or even to take care of their family, or even the household, right? We think that it is not right, and we think that the woman exactly have the equal chance with the men, or even they have the potential to be independent or even strong. So that's why we think that that's why we strongly believe that this house will encourage women to be selfish, right? But most importantly, how are we going to define the selfish itself, right? We say that in all its forms that the women is being discriminated, or even being being restricted by the perspective or even the rules of the society is not right. So that's why we think that being selfish here means that we are going to create prioritize ourselves without saying or even without considering the intervention of other parties, like your family, or your family, or even your friends, or even your husband, because we basically we firmly believe that the woman exactly have the right to be equal, or even they need to leave the paradigm of the society that they are less potential than the men, or even they are a second gender, that they need to stay in the house, or even they cannot to be selfish, right? But what by encouraging women to be selfish, right? We want to decrease the discrimination by being selfish, because when we speak up, or even when we fight against the norm or even the perspective of the society, we think we can gain our we think that we can gradually gain our rights to be equal, or even less being discriminated. Madam Chair, to begin my speech with, number one, woman is always seen as a second gender because they don't tend to speak up, right? Even if today we have like a feminism to fight for the rights of the woman to be independent, to be strong, or even to be less intervened by another parties. But we think that it is not enough. It is not enough for the woman to be more appreciated, or even being promoted to be the CEO, or even have the equal have the same social cycles, like pursuing their dream, for example, or even the chance for them to be to participate in politics, right? They are still being restricted by the law, or even by the perspective of the society. Let's see. Let's take a look at the example in the third world country, right? That the woman is always being discriminated, or even being taken as cheaper, or even they need to stay to the house, right? So that's why we think that the woman needs to speak up, to show their the existence by being by it can happen, like independent can happen by encouraging the woman to be selfish, right? And secondly, they will not be more discriminated by encouraging by encouraging them to be selfish, right? What does that mean? It means that when they are being selfish, they are going to be systematically changing the paradigm of the society who restrict them to pursuing their dream. Like intrinsically, they have the potential to be equal, but seeing they are being restricted by the society, it closes their possibility, to have a last chance, right? So what is going to happen when we strongly encourage the woman to be selfish or to be selfish, right? And in our best scenario, we think that it will create more possibilities for women to be pursuing their careers, because they have already been selfish by speak up, for example, or even have the power to by avoiding the interdependence, for example. We think that they will have more possibilities to pursue their dream, because we think that basically they are equal. And secondly, they will not attack as a second gender, right? We see that in the third world, in the third world country, for example, that the patriarchy society are still exist, right? So that's why we think that when we have already encouraged the women to be selfish, we think that it is chance for us to vanish society, to take a woman as a second gender. We understand that the woman exactly being believe that when the woman have the willing to encourage themselves to be selfish, we think it is time for the people, it is time for the world to see that the woman is exactly equal, and they exactly they are not exactly, they are always being disadvantaged, right? So that's why we by those reasons and facts, we think that we are probably.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. The Prime Minister spent 6 minutes and 34 seconds. To respond to the case of the Prime Minister, I would like to call upon the Leader of Opposition. Floor is yours. Here.
Check. Is it clear? Because I have the problem with the connection, so that way oftenly I become disconnected through this Zoom. So is it clear right now?
So far, it's very clear.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'm gonna start the speech in 3, 2, 1. We do realize that women are still being discriminated, but the problem is the moment when the woman deciding, or we encouraging women to become the selfish, we think that it's not the right way, it's not the best or strategic way in order to show that we are still in this discriminate. We concede that when the opening government say that women are still being discriminated, women are still not here, but exactly there are 3 conditions that need to be understood by the opening government. Actually, there are 3 stages of the problem of the woman. The first stages is the stage of woman. First one to talk, there are progressive women, and also the second one is there are gray area women. Progressive women are the women who do realize about that is the patriarchy is not good for them, so that's why we need to comes up, and they need to show that the patriarchy is not fit in with them, just because the one when they want to pursue their career, the patriarchy system always hampering them to pursue their career. And the second thing is the women in gray area are the women who really easy to be lead away or really easy to be influenced by the conservative people. The moment they are in the conservative condition, we think that it's really harming for them, just because they're really easy to be influenced by the conservative people and also itself. And also the third is the conservative woman. The conservative woman are the women who still believing that exactly the condition, for example, when they live in the conservative area, they only following the conservative way, the norm that occur in that environment or condition. So we think that how can we coping this problem the moment we encourage women to become selfish? We think that there are some problem when we encourage women to become selfish. First, the moment women become selfish, we think that women will think that they must be superior to men. Why we say so? Exactly the one when we encouraging women to become selfish, exactly the condition we sending the narrative, sending the message where the conservative woman and also gray area woman who cannot analyze exactly the main goal of the woman movement itself is they want to get the equality, right? But the conservative people or gray area women will think and cannot analyze more like, I mean, the progressive woman, just because they only following this message, and we think that it's really bad for them at the end of the day, just because they believe directly that this kind of thing, that as a woman we are stronger than men. So we think this is the very bad condition and will harming the woman at the end of the day itself. So we will elaborate more what is the harming that will happen the moment when we encouraging women become selfish at the end of the day. And also the second problem of selfish is it will make the woman is lose the value of equality, just because the main goal of our movement, the main goal what we want to achieve in the society is we want to get equality, right? Just because the moment when we, I mean, pushing the woman or encouraging woman to become the selfish, exactly we make the tendency for the woman is to lose the value of equality. Just because selfish is a way, the moment when we're not considering, there is no negotiation with the selfish way. Just because when there is no negotiation, we think that it's very bad and it can forming the woman character to be not negotiable with the other. So the equality at the end of the day will not be achieved, just because the selfish way only make woman or, I mean, force the woman to be not considering the other's condition. So this is really bad at the end of the day. So we say that sending the narrative through the selfish way is, I mean, will forming the superiority message. And we think that this is very bad for women at the end of the day. 2 points under our side. Why the encouraging women to be selfish is something that relevant and will harming women at the end of the day. First, we want to talk about why encouraging women to be selfish will harming the woman more under the patriarchy system. And also the second of things we want to talk about, what are the ideal ways for women to gain more followers and to support them to gain the equality like they want at the very first time. So the first is, why encouraging women to be selfish will harming women under the patriarchy system. So even we need to understand that the moment when we encourage women to be selfish, exactly intrinsically, it will stronger the patriarchy system. Why we say so? Exactly in patriarchy condition, there are still so many conservative people. And this kind of conservative people will be able to demonize this woman just because the moment woman becomes selfish, they will have the power to demonize woman. So this is something that really big when the moment we give chance to the woman becomes selfish. So with this kind of thing, it will harming the woman itself. The woman at the end of the day will be more difficult to show up, to comes up with with what they want, just because they are demonized by the selfish way itself. So we think this is not strategically, and the selfish way will harm the woman just because in the patriarchy environment, the conservative people will still attack them, will fight back to them. So this condition will happen when the selfish comes up, when conservative people see that women conduct the selfish way with a negotiation, and the equality that they want to be achieved will not be achieved just because the conservative people will still attack them and will demonize toward the woman. So the woman itself will still perceiving as the woman want the equality, they will still perceiving that the woman itself will be more superior than men. So this condition is really bad when the conservative people more demonize toward the woman. And also, the second is we want to talk about what are the ideal ways for the woman to gain more followers and to support them to gain the equality itself. So we think that the best alternative is on how we show that as a woman, the moment we want the equality, exactly the thing that we need to focusing is on how we show the good character of woman, on how we show, the equality itself. Just because selfish way is not the equality, just because any selfish way, you only considering yourself. We don't only considering in these cases, we're considering the man that you always think get more, more privilege than you. So this condition will lead to more women who in the gray area woman or conservative woman will, gray area woman will be easy to leeway, even they cannot analyze and also understand what is the goal of their movement. What is their main goal at the very first time? Their main goal is to gain the equality, right? So the equality value they want to achieve at the very first time will be lost just because the gray area woman itself is still perceiving that exactly we just need to follow, this is really good, so they just follow without considering more about it. And also the harm more is for conservative women. And also the conservative woman will perceiving that you as a woman is bad. So that's why we as women, we still need to, to stay under the status quo. Live under the patriarchal system is really good for us. So the moment when we become selfish, they think they will demonize other women. They will demonize the woman who want to, to comes up with the equality itself. So we think it's not strategic in order to gain more follower from the women who are in the gray area women, and also women from the conservative. Woman who's still conservative. So how is ideal? The ideal way is we need to still keep spreading the positive message and showing our good character. This is the form of the real equality. So we say that by showing the good things, for example, good attitude, good character, and also keep pursuing what is our main goal, it is something that can changing or making a conservative woman and woman from gray area to be more believe and also will follow. So the woman will gain more follower. Our goal for the equality will be achieved, not lose the value of equality. So we oppose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader of Opposition. Leader of Opposition spent 7 minutes and 28 seconds. To respond to the case of the Leader of Opposition, I would like to call upon the Deputy Prime Minister. Floor is yours. Here.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Can you speak louder? Your voice seems like very distant from the speaker.
Am I audible?
Yep, you're audible.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, in our side of the house, we believe that the idea of superior that coming from the opening opposition will not be there, right? Because women don't have this platform to speak up, and etc. That is why this kind of superior that coming from the opening opposition will not exist anymore. Because of what? Because as a woman, by doing selfish doesn't mean we want to be superior, but we want to be equally in education, in family, in career, in job, in society, and etc. Ladies and gentlemen, we also realize that the idea of opening opposition by saying stronger the patriarchal system and etc. Ladies and gentlemen, in our side of the house, we believe by not doing nothing and not speak up and not being selfish will not solve the problem of the society. It will stronger the patriarchal system because there's no one can speak up or able to take a risk, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get recognition of this society, of course you have to be speak up or even have this kind of braveness to the equality from the patriarchal system itself, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, why in our side of the house it will justify for a woman to be selfish? First of all, I think that at least we encourage women to be selfish, to speak up what they want to be, what they want to be, ladies and gentlemen. Because we see that since long time ago, there's no platform for women to speak up to them to what they want to be, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you an example on how women, for example, go to the university for S1, for example, for her to choose or to be selfish to choose that I will continue my study and not to going to marry or to follow my family instruction, for example. I want to be selfish because I don't want to wear hijab or married underage or having age, ladies and gentlemen. It is okay for women to be selfish because it is what they want, ladies and gentlemen. Because we represent a lot of women, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if we didn't encourage women to be selfish, we keep in this status quo, which woman is dilemma, right? It's dilemma of the society stigma, where women in family should taking care of her husband or children or children, ladies and gentlemen. We think that this kind of stigma that make a woman dilemma, right? The judgment from the society. We think that we have to be selfish to pursue our career because that is what we want. It is important for you to be selfish, to put yourself first rather than anyone else, because the happiness of being a human being will be there when you choose what. And of course, you are not harming other people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a benefit for women to be selfish. First of all, we will show to the society that women should prioritize themselves rather than anyone else. We don't want to we don't want interference because we think that we deserve to be selfish because since long time ago we get discrimination. Men dominate a woman. We control by men, ladies and gentlemen. Selfish and speak up for what we want. For example, we want to continue our career rather than married with our partner or following our family instruction, ladies and gentlemen. Because it is our right to choose, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why women still discriminate in this status quo, especially in third world country, is that because the woman could not speak up, or the women don't have the kind of platform to speak up on how they manage to get equality from women, ladies and gentlemen. We think that women put in the second place is because women always give up, right? Because women always keep herself in the second place. She always consider about her family, her husband, and etc. That this kind of thing make a woman less progressive, even couldn't pursue their career because of women always talk about the other thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we think that it's really justified to encourage women to be selfish because it's the only way to speak up to tell the society that we are not longer the second place. We have to put ourselves in the very first place to achieve our dream, to achieve the happiness of our life. We are no longer to put second place after a man because we are afraid of judgment of the society and etc. It's okay to get judgment from the society because that's the only way to get the movement right. That's the only way for you to even save the other woman in patriarchy society, ladies and gentlemen. It takes time, right? We think that we have to follow. We think that we think that we spend a lot of money, right, to go to the university for S1, for example. It is funny and it is justified for us to continue S2 and S3 and not to follow the instruction of men to go to marriage or to be in family. It is okay for us to be selfish, to continue our study, even not wearing hijab, even at the moment where we live in a country which is really religious, because that's what makes us happy. It is important for us to be. It is important for us to be what we want as long as it is not harm the other women, ladies and gentlemen. Because at the very first beginning, the purpose of women, of feminists, is to get equality. It is not to be superior or dominate men, ladies and gentlemen. We want equality between men and women. We want our voices are listened to the society. Then we could change the society mindset because it is not easy, right? Yes, we know it is not easy. That is why we try to speak up. At least we get the attention from the society, and society knows what we want, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. To close the opening half, I would like to call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Floor is yours. Here.
Test, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, setting up my time. Wait. So if you guys wanna do POI, just unmute yourself. I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I think that the case bring by the opening government side of the house is unlikely to happen because number one, in the context of patriarchy, woman is in the second class, right? That is to say, whenever woman trying to speak up, so on how people will likely to hurt women, right? Because because the government side of the house also agree that woman is actually being discriminated. Women are in the second class, right? Therefore, on how if you are being someone that is actually selfish, because someone that are be perceived as people that are actually rebel because you are against the norm value, for example, on how society will likely to hear you, right? So that's why we think that the case coming by government is unlikely to happen. It will be only useless, right? Second of all, the attention that you will get is also the bad image coming by the society itself, right? Why? Because people will more hate towards women because you are becoming more because you are actually selfish, because you are going to perceive as person who are only thinking about yourself but not other person, right? We think it is more strategic in the context of patriarchy if we can playing more soft. That is to say, if we can actually not being selfish, we are still willing to have discussion with other peoples, but at the same time we are also trying to on how we want to achieve our goals, right? So what I'm going to talk in here is why actually encouraging women to becoming selfish will lead to be more create more bad stereotype towards women that already exist in status quo right now, right? But before that, rebuttals. Number one, they point is contingent upon the idea that women will have more chance to pursuing career. So because women will have a platform to speak up, right? We see it is not true, right? Why? Because the moment when woman is actually speak up, there is no one will listen to woman, right? Because your opinion will only be seen based on your side. You will be perceived as someone that are actually only thinking about your interest. You will be perceived as someone that actually do not want to hear about other people's, right? People will this thing will only making people be more less empathy towards you whenever you're trying to speak up, right? Because you are be seen as someone that are actually unreachable, because you are be someone who are actually you know you are a stone, for example, and etc., right? And we think it is more bad. Exactly, the chance to speak up is bigger under opposition side of the house. Why? Because you are be perceived as someone who are actually likely to have a discussion. You are someone who likely to talk in the cold hate, for example, and it is more better under our side of the house, right? Lastly, in terms of why let's play under their best case scenario. For example, when women are actually can pursue their career, right? That they always championing this kind of thing. We say even if it is true, we think that the long term effect of this will always be bad, ladies and gentlemen. Even if it is good, it is only temporary. Why so? Because you will getting more hate coming by society or even your family, because you are only prioritize yourself, not other people's, right? And you it would be different under our side of the house if you are actually on yes, you might be dictated by someone, right? We think it is still okay. Why? Because the moment when you can achieve your career, you can getting your support system, right? Because your family is actually loving with you, because your family will supporting you. It would be different under government side of the house when women are reaching their career, right? Because their family are unlikely to supporting you, because you are never heard about any other's opinion. You are only thinking about yourself, ladies and gentlemen, and we think it is bad, right? So what I'm going to talk is why under our side of the house it will be create more stereotype towards women, right? notice that the encouragement will manifest it, will be result into the normalization of this narrative, right? People will think that women will perceive being selfish is something that normal, right? We think it is bad, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because in status quo right now, there are already a lot of stereotypes coming by society towards women, right? People say that woman is always right. Don't fight with them. Woman is unreachable and etc. Right? We think when you are encourage woman to be selfish, you are only going to send the narrative that woman is barbar. For example, woman is not unreachable to join a discussion. For example, we think it is bad, right? Because it will only making the generalization and stereotype for women becoming more worse. Woman will be perceived as a selfish. Woman will be, society will say that woman is naturally born to be selfish, right? We think that the problem in here is we need to more focus on those people who are actually conservative, women who are conservative, right? Because when we are talking about women who are progressive, so this narrative is no longer apply with them, right? Because they are already have a strong dream, they already have a strong mindset, and we think when those kind of women who are conservative, for example, they will be more hate towards women who are actually when you are becoming selfish. Let's take a look your mom, for example. Mostly old people, especially your mom, for example, is a kind of conservative, right? So when you becoming more selfish, your mom is going to more hating you. Your mom is going to say not going to support your decision in the end of the day, right? We think it is more bad towards you in order to you want to achieve your dream, ladies and gentlemen. At least under our side of the house, even if woman is actually even if woman is actually not do not have any kind of bravery to doing this kind of thing, we think it is okay because the status quo is progressive enough, right? Number one, we think woman is already more likely to be hurt in current condition right now, proven by in social media. For example, when women are speak up, a lot of people are hurt about this kind of thing. It is because women are willing to open with a discussion, right? They are not closing themselves with only their own opinion, right? Second of all, women are also obey to working, right? It is so that's why we think if you are only encourage women to be selfish, it will disrupt the progressivity in status quo. We beg to propose. Thank you. Oppose. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Deputy Leader of Opposition spent 7 minutes and 30 seconds. To open the closing half, I would like to call upon the member of the government. Member of government, floor is yours. Here.
I'm sorry. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, let me set my paper first.
Sure, take your time.
Okay. I'm going to begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to be explicit in this debate by giving 3 rebuttals. The first, that their biggest premise is that they're going to stay in the patriarchy situation. This is very problematic. Why? Because it is paradox and self-defeating leadership. Like, for example, the characteristic that they gave, that you are okay if you have this quality, like, for example, malambut or sopan santun and so on. Because the thing is that they classify a good woman in their own way. We say that following the patriarchy world, it's not very it is harmful, since that at the end of the day, woman's idea or woman's happiness, for example, it's not even considered as an important thing, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we see that following patriarchy, or let's say that for the man interest, for example, or your happiness is determined by the other external factors, like for example, family and so on. We believe that number one, that they don't even know what things that you want, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, it's not just things to saying that staying in the patriarchy is a good thing to begin with. And the second is that this kind of a world that we are trying to fight back, because we don't want to stay in this kind of things. Why? Because if you stay in the patriarchy world, it means that in the worst scenario that you justified the narrative that woman over a man over the woman. Why? Because the harm, all of the harm is still there. Like, for example, they are unable to make a decision for themselves, for the woman, since that all of determined by the man itself or the family. That we understand that the previous family, it's actually being constructed by patriarchy itself. So this is the thing that we want to fight back. But moreover, through this kind of motions, even if that they are unable to, let's say, have the power to, let's say, fight this patriarchy war, we say that the other woman will do that. So if it's success, then it will also benefit the conservative women, and this is very good to begin with. Second is that when they comes with the idea that woman's self is talking about only woman's perspective, two responses here. Number one, the question is that will men to do that? The proof, like for example, the first wave of the feminist movement, the second wave, the third wave, showing to you that at the end of the day, women do for themselves, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, we hard to believe that men will do that. Even if, ladies and gentlemen, like for example, that only woman's perspective is harmful to begin with, but we emphasize that it's worth. Why? Because if it's not now, then when? Who will represent us, ladies and gentlemen? So basically, that is the thing. And then thirdly, though, how they saying that loving and support for the family is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Three responses is this. Number one, we refuse their claims because we say that kind of a relationship is a toxic relationship. But notice that if you're talking about criminal, okay, we send them to the jail. But when we're talking about the happiness itself, ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that the happiness for children or the daughter is need to be considered as their own happiness, not being constructed by the external factors, ladies and gentlemen. And we see that is more the important things. And even if, ladies and gentlemen, if they're going to playing safe on those kind of a particular spectrum, we say that the parents are the one who need to change, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we believe that number one, they are the one who being constructed by the patriarchy world, and second, and social construct of, for example, the man the one who can lead the woman. For example, women are unable to make a choice because they are, for example, unstable emotion and so on. We believe that that is the thing to fight. Now, jumping to my argumentations, I'm going to talk about one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The first, I'm going to talking about why we need to against, ladies and gentlemen. Because let's take a look what happened in status quo. I do believe that operating government are really explicit to say this, but notice that women still construct by the external factors, like for example, that of course the woman agency being decided by what social construct that you live, like for example, your family, your like the cultural value and so on, and you are accepted if you follow that things. This is very harmful. Why? Because at the end of the day, that happiness that being happen on those kind of a side is that happiness that construct by the other. Like for example, that you sacrifice your own happiness to fulfilling the external factors. But the more problem is not, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, this is will not gain a significant process for the betterment for the woman. Why? Because number one, that like I said before, the family is actually constructed by the patriarchy. Like for example, the family that live through the old values of how they see a woman. Like for example, the man who should lead the woman unable to make a choice and so on. And that is the thing that we want to fight. Because of what? Because no, thank you for the BI. Because for what? Because for example, when we are talking about happiness, it's a really diverse, ladies and gentlemen. For example, when we are talking about the parents seeing that their happiness, if they marry, if they have a baby, if they do things that the parents wanted, we see that we claim this not a good things because it's contingent only to the parents' perspective. At the end of the day, women will do it not because their own happiness, but because they follow the decision that made by the family. This is a very harmful, since we believe that at the end of the day, the interest of the family or the external factors are going to stand in here. But then, why this is important? Why we really need to why we really need it to be selfish? There are two ideas in here. The first is that we need to against to being selfish because the issue that, for example, that women are unable or incapable leadership. This is very important because, for example, if you're being selfish, you can focus on your self development because you through skill or for skill and so on. Or for example, that you can pursue your self acknowledge, like for example, speak up, like what do you want, that what you're willing to compete like against the woman, the man itself. Or thirdly is that you're going to self prioritize that woman is also important. You give a portray that woman is also important. The issue is that, ladies and gentlemen, the problem is that woman being labeled as the second gender itself, ladies and gentlemen, and this is very harmful, and there is no chance to prove it since that the opportunity for the woman is also lacked. And so we need to start and begin by proving ourselves that we also able to do this by, of course, selfing ourselves, because we symbolize this as the process for the woman's important. Because when we're talking about women's representations, and for example in political and social issue, it is really necessary. Because if we're expecting, if the government, if the opposition side, we're expecting that if you're talking about the address the women's issue, it also can be conducted by the men. We say that women's representation is also really important as well, because women representations giving you a symbol that woman able to do so, as the women are the one who sit on the parliament, the woman who actually negotiate about the laws that of course benefits toward the woman itself. We see that is the thing that we wanted. And the second is that connect with the woman representation. We say that woman representation is symbolized as the woman's power. Why? Because we believe that at the end of the day, we're expecting them to address the woman's issue. And therefore, we say that it's very, this being selfish is the first gate for the betterment of the woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, member of the government. To respond to the case of the member of the government, I would like to call upon the member of opposition. Floor is yours. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, hold on, let me get my timer.
Sure, take your time.
I'm going to start. Okay. Gender preference, they are not limited to anything as long as it is not as offensive. You can POI by unmuting yourself and disturb my speech. Thank you. So I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. This is not a debate about whether or not we should agree about patriarchy or not, right? We think that this definition that comes up from the three of the themes, because they're not really being grounded up to the definitions of selfishness, right? We are going to be different. We'll be more contextualized and give the real characteristic of what is it being selfish. We'll give a better characteristic of feminism and try to bring this in the form of framing feminism in comparison towards individual framing that was brought up in 3 themes. We'll also explain detail of how discourse will be killed on a movement and societal level, not on the surface level that have been brought up by opening bench. And we're also going to be the team that bring that even if that somehow government teams are able to create action, it is still not going to be, it is still going to be wrong and not going to be effective at the end of the day. So stance, we think that women should not be selfish and rather be more open-minded and less selfless and fair in their actions at the end of the day. We think that we're only going to create a regress in society and going to create little divisions and killing the existing discourse in society. So few definitions. We think that selfish means prioritizing yourself over others. In this case, this comes in the perspective that your point of view is the best, that your cause is the most urgent. It is also means that people will always be urgenized and even not acknowledging others. Analogy is that if someone punch you, it is not selfish to punch back. It is called fighting and self-defense, fighting against injustice. Selfish means that you only want to be okay with your own idea. It's like punching someone because their face bothers you, right? This is the reason why we think that injustice and fighting for injustice will going to come naturally and will also going to exist on our side, right? People like Women March and everything else will also going to exist on our side. It's not because we're selfish, but because we're fighting injustice. That is different, right? We think that this definition that never been cleared up by any of the team, right? Okay, how we're going to work? We think that we're going to be more selfless, right? Because selfless means that on our side, we're still going to be more open to other people. We think we're going to open to discourse and open to any opposition. If one case rises of opposition, for example, we're going to open and debunk any hoax and misinformation. Rebuttals, opening government. One, they're not clear on how the real practical of their argument as how to reaching selfishness somehow will going to create action. Never been cleared out. Second, women are being discriminated by being forced off their house and need to fight. We think that that is not on all countries, right? Because they're only talking about third world countries and women's rights that has been going in progress, right? We think that we're only going to create regress. I'll explain you later. Yes, we also acknowledge that this is true. But we think that being selfish is not the magic word that has changed. If the scenario is true, we think that the possibility of women to speak up is systematically held anyway, right? This in itself will not going to be effective since your ability to talk will be absent. Even more important, because in this kind of case, women need to prove themselves that we are reasonable people. Many policies, like policies against raping that is pushed by in countries like India, are contingent upon this, an opposition that frame women to be selfish. Like they frame women, what if women, so any woman can accuse me? Or what if she's a gold digger, for example? These are the things that are being pushed by framing that women are selfish at the end of the day. By proving ourselves selfish, we're only going to get worse on our case, right? So those are basically going to be the rebuttals. Other one we're going to be intertwined in my argument, because we do think that even if it is going to be active, going to create actions, we don't think that it is a good actions at the end of the day, right? Yeah, okay. Going on to my arguments on how we're going to divide feminism. We think that currently the feminist movement needs unity. And this is really important because feminist movement is the only tangible institution that could actually fight for women through politics and movement, right? As social movement, numbers is important. This is more important since such war, feminism is not just one group. Different women requires different need and are fighting for different causes, right? For example, working women requires different differences with household women. Intersectionality, for example, in feminism. Rich women and poor women are fighting for different causes, for example. This different background and democracy inside differences. We think that this is something that is inherent, right? This nature of not all women are the same. They're not going to be, can be read the same, means that being selfish will lead to a more divisions, right? You're encouraging women to be more selfish, will only going to entrench themselves in their own idea and a bubble. What they think that their grievances is way more important at the end of the day, right? This is very harmful. There will be more and more feminists that is less attached from each other, making it one hard to cater, right? Since we cannot centralize and visualize our grievances, especially into certain policy. Secondly, it's less likely to be successful since our voices will be divided and hard to be heard, right? They're going to hard to gather number of all causes. But even if your cause is going to be heard, it is always going to be more harmful because the only women that are capable of actually changing the society and the landscape are rich women that are already entrenched in their own idea. We're never going to brush off the real vulnerable woman that has to be catered. Well, woman, black, poor, white woman, for example. Like these are the things that are only going to entrench other women at the end of the day, creating not only division between male and female, but female and female, in which we think there is the least likely of what are female and feminism movement at the end of the day. In comparison, we think on our side it's better, since we think that women should be more open to the grievances of our people and each other. This is why in status quo, many white women and rich women are beginning to start marching for women of color at the end of the day, right? Because we are starting to approach. This is the reason why there are fourth wave of feminist movement, right? Because the fourth wave of feminist movement, we're talking about intersectionality at the end of the day, and we're talking about caring for women that has not been catered past, right? What would happen right now? We're actually asking women to actually be open to other people and be selfless. We'll be easier to gather and push our policy, for example, like lobbying, because we are now gathering more and more people. We're not divided by each other, right? It is more easier for us to say something. For example, if you're going to be divided, there are no going to be like, for example, female politicians that are going to be led because women are being divided and least likely to actually vote for that woman to be a politician at the end of the day. This is why, even if that is the best case scenario of the government side exists, that women somehow do something, they will never going to work. There's only going to be like 20 women that march on their own grievances at the end of the day. This in itself will going to be better framing, that when one-dimensional framing that's only been brought up by the opening bench. We think we're more realistic. Secondly, we'll talk about more discourse and killing discourse at the end of the day. Right? We think that status quo, there are already discourse in gender and gender equality, but we think that the teaching itself will give the progress. One, by opening to this is what happened to political discourse in US, right? Where no law is passed by Senate, simply because everyone thinks that they are the best. This is bad, right? Because we're entrenched on our own opinion, both sides. And both sides also have great point that needs to be catered. For example, on the other side, there are arguments like number of suicide is the biggest, right? We think that this is quite a legit argument that needs to be heard at the end of the day, right? It is even worse because we think that both sides also have real point of view on the opposite side, extreme, like always spreading hoax, for example, and misinformation. This is exactly what's happening between left and right wing in US at the end of the day. On our side, it is going to be better, right? Because we're still going to be more selfless with what happened. We're going to be more open to our side, right? Women are going to be more incapable of, for example, when they're saying women are incapable of their own body, we can actually talk to them and actually debunk the heck out of this, right? We are also going to be able to debunk hoaxes and misinformation, and we're not going to be entrench ourselves in our own idea, right? This is how discourse happened, right? Discourse could only happen when both sides of the aisle actually can reach a certain middle ground at
at the end of the day, right? This is why it is way better explanations than the opening bench that only have saying that we're too selfish. We think that the discourse could only happen when both sides are trying to agree and to middle ground, and this could only happen if you're actually being selfless and stop being selfish, incredibly proud to oppose.
Thank you very much, member of the opposition. To close the government bench, I would like to call upon the government whip. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that sometimes silence is the winner, ladies and gentlemen. But in the case of these women that never get any equality, good equality in our society right now, sometimes the silence if for the woman become the killer for them, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't have any chance to speak, to be get the equal treat from the society. They doesn't get any acknowledgement, good acknowledgement from the society as a main part of the society for the gender, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that how the woman still acknowledged as the second gender in society, even though the feminist movement is already exists, ladies and gentlemen. We still know about what kind of discrimination that faced by the woman, even though there's a lot of away from the feminist movement itself, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we are from the closing government. We believe that we need more action from the woman itself, ladies and gentlemen, how they can get the equality itself, ladies and gentlemen. Here we characterize why the to be selfish from the woman is very important for themselves, ladies and gentlemen. We characterize selfish here to be self priority for the woman itself, ladies and gentlemen. They have a decision, they have their own decision to take about their rights, ladies and gentlemen. What can they decide for what they want, ladies and gentlemen? For the example, just like we know what the woman wants. For the example, if they don't want to have a baby, they can talk about the antinatalism itself, and then if they want to do abortion, they can do it, ladies and gentlemen. And then if they want to do what kind of career and for their dream, they can do it, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's for the sex worker or etc, ladies and gentlemen. It's the way how the woman can have the position in our society to be part of the society, ladies and gentlemen. We know the woman right now is not enough for that, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that the double standard from our society is very toxic right now, ladies and gentlemen. How categorize the woman itself, ladies and gentlemen. Before I jump to my extension as the closing government, I would like to give some point rebuttals for our opening of the house. We believe that, ladies and gentlemen, when opening of the opposition brings the idea of woman superiority will become if the woman to be selfish, ladies and gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, this idea will never came, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that the woman here is just need the equality itself, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that on the way the woman never acknowledged as the part of the society. We believe that there is no mind idea about to be the superior from in our society, ladies and gentlemen. Women still think about what should they have in our society, ladies and gentlemen. To be equal is enough for the woman in our society right now, ladies and gentlemen. For the example, to have the rights to for their own decision, for in the career, for the education, or for etc, it's enough for the woman until right now, ladies and gentlemen. Acknowledged by the society is the rights for the woman. It's enough, ladies and gentlemen. And about the stronger patriarchy, it's about that. We believe that it's not stronger for the patriarchy, but we still believe that why it's very important, because it can eliminate the patriarchy system itself, ladies and gentlemen. Why it can eliminate, because we believe that when the woman can speak up and have the position in our society, have the chance for in society to show them can do as equal to the man, we believe that the system of the patriarchy will be eliminated, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that the society will think the woman can do it, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we believe that every single woman can have the respect from our society if the woman can have the chance to speak up in our society for their rights, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that it's about the government opposition team mentioned about the temporary it's about temporary benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, when we conduct this action once, we believe that if we success to conduct this action, we believe that all of the women in our world, we believe they can have the same rights in our society, ladies and gentlemen. Even though they live in a progressive woman, and even though they are conservative woman, they can get the success benefit, a success result at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if this action is successful, ladies and gentlemen. And in the closing opposition mentioned about the why the gender equality, and about the why it's wrong to be selfish, because the woman can just like to be superior in our society, just like a different woman can have different problem, ladies and gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, in here we know that what is the decision that by the woman is for their happiness, ladies and gentlemen. They know what they want, ladies and gentlemen. For example, if they want to not have the baby because they don't want to have a child, we believe that it's their decision to get happiness, ladies and gentlemen. Is it right? And then what is about if they want to seek for the career and then want to be the housewife is based on the decision, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that when we portray the woman just like this, we believe that women can have their equal rights in our society, because to prioritize themselves at the very first place is very important, because their rights is very needed by them, ladies and gentlemen. And our point from the opening closing government, we believe that why it's very important, because we believe that the woman that the standard for the woman to be intelligent, polite, and etc. We believe that is not the real standard for the woman, ladies and gentlemen. The woman should there is no standard should put for the woman itself, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that every single woman can be whatever they want, ladies and gentlemen, even though they are curvy, even though they are skinny, or even though they are not beauty, or etc. We believe that they have still same equal rights in our society, ladies and gentlemen. We should not categorize the woman itself, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we need the action from the woman itself to be selfish for the culture in our society, ladies and gentlemen, about the norm in our society, ladies and gentlemen. We should take an action right now, and then we can know what kind of result can be happen in the future, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't move right now, if we believe that we just still silent as the woman, and then we don't have a position as the woman in our society until at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, because we just follow the rules from our society and the norm from the patriarchy itself, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have any chance to get to seek for what we want, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we believe that the selfish here for the woman is very important, ladies and gentlemen, for their sake of the woman to get equal rights in our society, ladies and gentlemen. And also about the empowering the value of the woman here is very needed, ladies and gentlemen. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, I will continue my speech. So the value of the woman here is very important, because we believe that when the woman have the chance to speak up for their rights and speak for their own self, we believe that it will create more portrayal for the woman, with something like they can have the same rights with the man in their society, and the man can respect the woman at the very first place. And then if it's a success at the end of the day, we believe that the woman can acknowledge as the part of the society and eliminate the patriarchy system in our society right now. And it's very better rather than the case from our position of the house. That's why we brought to propose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Government Whip. To close the debate, I would like to call upon the opposition whip. Floor is yours. Here.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Chat. I prefer my POI to be written through chat, because I'll be reading the chat. If I drop out, just let me know, because I've been dealing with bad internet connection this day, so yeah. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. The reason why this debate is very wishy-washy and does not have a clear metric is because of the unclear portrayal of selfishness. Because we listen from opening government towards the closing government, they keep on saying that selfish is, you could speak up if you want to be selfish, you could do a lot of things that makes you selfish, but this characterization of selfish, or this portrayal of selfish, does not necessarily feed into the context of this debate, right? Because note that my first speaker has told you how then the characterization of selfish in the purpose of the movement of feminists in and of itself, on how we can progress further if we are selfless, but how we will regress and not be able to become more progressive as a movement if we are selfish in the end of the day. And the Constitutional School, look, we do agree that women are discriminated. Feminist movement and woman advocation is much more not like, and it's progressive, but often not heard enough. Why? Because like how my first speaker has told you, there's a lot of things that women want to champion, a lot of agendas, and a lot of heads in the feminist movement. We think we should be able to agree on a certain agenda, and and for that to happen, we should be selfless in the end of the day. Right? Notice how my first speaker was left immune. Not even the government whip attacked his argument or touched his argument, saying that how selfless in the end of the day would make our movement progress any further. We think that we take the debate by that metric. But yeah, but before that, a few rebuttals towards the whole government bench, right? Let's start with opening government. Well, they never really explain how their side of the house wants to be selfish, right? Because they tell you that we have to speak up, we have to be brave. Women can speak up, women can advocate. This means it is selfish. We think that this is not exclusive in any case whatsoever. Why? Because in the current status quo, women can still speak up without being selfish, right? I can be selfless. I can, be in a collective group, but still able to speak up. So we think that if you speak up and if you try to advocate for something, that does not necessarily mean you are selfish, right? Speaking up or advocating towards something means you are trying to fight for a social cause or trying to fight for a social for something that you really deserve or you really want in the end of the day. So we think that it is not inherently selfish whatsoever. We think this is very, very problematic coming from the opening government. But secondly, let's talk about how women should prioritize themselves and over others. This is like the whole the extent of the argument coming from opening government. They told you that women should prioritize themselves over other people. We think that this is true. This must be something that you do as a woman, but in a patriarchal background, it's very hard to do. Why? Because in the current status quo, men still dominate in the current status quo, in which they dominate the gender discourse and how this toxic masculinity whatsoever is imposed towards women. We think that if you are going to be selfish in that kind of setting and in that kind of background, it will only tarnish your image in front of the men and further harm you, because you are seen as rebellious or you are seen as someone who does not want to take critics in the end of the day. Right? We need to be selfless and gather our priorities as a group to be able to then more move as a unit and step by step topple down the patriarchal culture, right? So yeah, we think that this is the only extent of opening government argument, and we don't really necessarily encourage you to buy it. But secondly, let's go to closing government, like on how they really brought this this wishy-washy argument on about how women are forced to have babies and women are forced to have to become mothers, and how the happiness in the end of the day is dictated by external factors such as forced to have a baby. We can see that this is happening, but we need to note that in the current status quo it is very inherent. What is very inherent? We think that in the current status quo, gender roles is still inherent. What does that mean? It means that you as a woman will still be encouraged to be a mother because that is your gender role, right? Because you are in the end of the day going to inclined to have to become a mother, because in the end of the day you have that uterus to produce babies, and of course that gender role still exists in the current status quo, which means you are inclined to do so. At least we do agree that maybe that the happiness is dictated or whatsoever, but at least under our side of the house we can fight for progressive movement and better rights, so that our happiness will not be dictated. But lastly, it is because we really want to have that baby, other than being forced by third parties or whatever they're trying to champion. So we think none of the arguments really fly in this debate. How are we different from open opposition? We think that open opposition only talk about how negotiations will happen, how negotiations will not be happen, and how we can negotiate with the men. But they never really explain this point, right? Because this is the only extent of their efficacy of their argument. But we think that the only focus of their argument in this debate is that they're only focusing on the micro scale, trying to say how patriarchal system will further harm if they are selfish, on how if you are going to be selfish, we can speak up. These are the micro scale arguments that doesn't really, that we can't really, consider the big scale. Right? We think that also the parameter of selfishness is very, very unstable coming from opening opposition, because they tell you that being selfish means you have to speak up, you have to advocate for certain things. But we think that under closing opposition, we will tell you boldly that being selfish means you are open to discourses, you are open to critics, and you are moving as a collective group, trying to fight for a collective cause without even trying to just. We really can see that everyone has a cause, but we think that if you are selfless and if you are not selfish, you are trying to fight for that collective cause trying to prioritize which cause should be fought in the end of the day. So we think that our side of the house is much more, macro and focusing on the argument in the end of the day. Questions then. I think that there's one big question in this argument, in this debate. We think that the question then would be, should women be selfish or selfless? We think that under our closing opposition will tell you that women should become more selfless. Why? This means that we should become more open-minded. We should be more open towards critiques, right? We are open towards critics, and we are able to scale our collective priorities. This can help us progress better as a movement. Why? Because number one, feminists is comprised of different backgrounds and different people. There are feminists that are located in slum areas. There are feminists that are located in the cities, right? This contributes towards different ideas and different needs. If we are selfish, we'll only think of our cause, which means our voice will be divided, which means there's this fight and clash of voices, which will not be able to progress our movement further. Why? Because then we'll just only be stuck on that bubble on trying to decide which cause is much more better, which means this will only make our movement regress further, right? Comparatively, if you were to be selfless, you will be able to open that discourse and be more open to it. In the status quo, there's this stereotype coming from men that women are just hot-headed and does not really want to take critics. If you are selfish, you will just embolden that stereotype even more, which means men will be very hard to accept you. The comparative is this, and that's on the outside of the house. Even if it still happens, like all of the discrimination still happens, at least we can still be able to move as a group, move as a unit, try to champion the main cause of our needs. Because if we are selfless in the end of the day, we are able to scale our priorities and not clash with our voices. We're very, very proud.
Thank you very much for the speech. The opposition whip spanned 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Right, this is the end of the debate, and this is a silent round, so you guys may leave the breakout room and waiting for the announcement. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
You may leave the room, yeah, guys. OG, CO, you may leave the room.